The human auditory cortex requires exactly 150 milliseconds to recognize a familiar voice. It is a survival mechanism honed over millions of years of primate evolution. If the frequency, timbre, or cadence fluctuates by even a fraction of a percent, the amygdala registers a threat. We are biologically programmed to detect imposters. But then there is Pharoah. When he opens his mouth, the biological security system of every human in the room simply collapses. He doesn't just mimic, he achieves a total neural hijack of the listener's perception. The truth is that Pharoah is a biological anomaly that exposes the terrifying fragility of human identity. We think our voices are our fingerprints. They aren't. They are just a series of muscular habits that can be stolen by a predator with better hardware. Look around you at the comedy landscape. Most performers rely on the good enough principle. They put on a wig, squint their eyes, and do a nasal honk to signal, "This is a celebrity." It's a cheap trick for the lower brain. Pharoah operates on a different evolutionary tier. Watch his face during a rehearsal at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. The fluorescent lights catch the sweat on his brow as he stares into a mirror. He isn't practicing jokes. He is recalibrating his larynx. He is shifting the tension in his zygomatic muscles to match the exact facial mask of Denzel Washington or Barack Obama. This is the start of the slippery slope. Once you realize that a human can perfectly replicate the physical essence of another, the concept of a unique soul begins to look like a comforting lie we tell ourselves to feel special. The algorithm hates this kind of truth because it prefers shallow 10-second clips over deep biological analysis. Subscribe to bypass the system and see the machinery behind the mask. If you give Pharoah an inch of your attention, he takes your entire sense of reality. It starts with a simple vowel shift. Maybe it's the way Kanye West hangs on a syllable, a slight protrusion of the lower lip that signals a specific brand of erratic genius. Pharoah locks onto it. Then he masters the blink rate. Then the shoulder twitch. Suddenly, the original person is being cannibalized in real time. On the set of Saturday Night Live, the air in the room changes when he flips the switch. It's not a performance, it's a haunting. You aren't watching a man do a bit. You are watching an apex predator of mimicry dismantle the barriers between two distinct nervous systems. He is proving that we are just a collection of stimuli and responses, easily decoded and replayed by a superior processor. This is the abyss. If Pharoah can become anyone, then who exactly are you? Your identity is just a set of adjustable sliders on a biological soundboard, and he's the only one who knows how to move them all at once. Look at the way his diaphragm moves during a high-speed transition. It is not just air. It is a calculated atmospheric displacement. When Pharoah shifts from the gravelly rhythmic staccato of Denzel Washington to the airy, erratic whisper of Eddie Murphy, he isn't just doing a voice. He is physically reconfiguring the soft tissue of his throat. Scientists call this the manipulation of the vocal tract filter. He alters the shape of his pharynx and the position of his tongue with the precision of a master watchmaker adjusting a hairspring. You there, sitting in your chair, probably believe your own voice is a solid, unchangeable pillar of your identity. You think that rasp you have when you are tired, or the way you round your vowels is a unique fingerprint of your soul. The reality is far more clinical and cold. Your voice is just a mechanical output of a specific biological setting. If Pharoah can find that setting, he owns you. He proves that your unique essence is nothing more than a series of muscle memories that can be hijacked by anyone with enough neurological plasticity. The slippery slope starts with the glottal stop and ends with the total erosion of the individual. Think about the physical workspace. Picture a dimly lit studio booth. The smell of ozone from the high-end microphones, and the flickering green and red LED lights of the audio interface. Pharoah stands there, his neck veins bulging as he forces his vocal cords into a configuration they were never meant to hold. He is straining the cricothyroid muscle to hit the exact pitch of a man twice his age. This is the biological cost of mimicry. It is a violent act of physical reconstruction. When he does Jay-Z, his jaw doesn't just move. It locks into a specific lateral shift that changes the resonance chamber of his mouth. He is literally wearing someone else's skull. Most people see this as entertainment, a fun trick to kill time between sketches. But if you look closer at the sheer mechanical accuracy, you realize we are staring into a terrifying biological mirror. If the boundary between his voice and another man's voice is this thin, then what exactly is stopping the rest of your personality from being nothing more than a series of programmable presets? Look around you and realize that everything you consider you is just a collection of borrowed traits and mirrored behaviors. Pharoah's talent is simply the extreme, weaponized version of what your brain does every single day. Your mirror neurons are firing right now, subconsciously imitating the posture of the person you last spoke to, or the speech patterns of the host of your favorite podcast. Pharoah just skipped the subconscious part and went straight for the source code. He is a glitch in the human operating system. When he stood on the stage at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and performed as Barack Obama, while the actual Barack Obama sat 3 feet away, the air didn't just feel tense, it felt thin. It was a biological redundancy. For a few minutes, there were 2 Obamas in the room, and the fake one was often more convincing because he was hyper-aware of the mechanics that the real one performed by accident. The audience laughed, but it was the nervous laughter of people who just watched a magician pull a rabbit out of a hat and then realized the rabbit was their own feet. He watches their center of gravity. He notes how a specific rapper carries their weight on their heels, or how a legendary actor leads with their chin. He is mapping the skeletal architecture of fame. This is where the slope gets steeper and darker. If you can replicate the walk, the talk, the blink rate, and the vocal resonance, what is left of the original person? A memory? A bank account? A social security number? The physical reality is that there is no ghost in the machine. There is only the machine. Pharoah is the ultimate proof that the human ego is a fragile construct built on top of a very predictable set of biological variables. He is the personification of a deep, uncomfortable truth. Your personality is a set of adjustable sliders on a biological soundboard, and you are not the one holding the controls. Every time he switches characters, he is performing a micro-execution of his own identity. To become Will Smith, he must first kill Pharoah. He must suppress his own natural cadence, his own involuntary tics, and his own physical presence. It is a form of temporary suicide. You see the sweat on his brow under the studio lights, not because he is tired, but because his brain is working overtime to prevent his own personality from leaking back into the performance. It is a high-stakes game of neurological containment. The fact that he can do this 30 times in a single set is an anomaly that should make you question the very concept of human consistency. We like to think of ourselves as stable, monolithic entities. But watch Pharoah for 5 minutes, and that illusion shatters. We are all just a collection of voices we heard as children, mixed with the mannerisms of people we admire, held together by a thin veneer of social necessity. He just has the courage to show us the seams. He is the only one who knows how to move all the sliders at once, and in doing so, he exposes the fact that the soundboard was never really ours to begin with. The abyss isn't out there in the stars. It's in the way a man can change his larynx and suddenly disappear right in front of your eyes. Think of the human throat as a biological instrument made of gristle and wet tissue. When Pharoah mimics a voice, he isn't just doing an impression. He is physically reconfiguring the tension of his vocal folds, adjusting the position of his larynx, and manipulating the shape of his oral cavity with the precision of a master surgeon. This is a cold, mechanical process. There is no magic here. There is only the ruthless efficiency of a primate brain that has learned to hack its own hardware. We see a celebrity on stage, but if you look closer, you see the terrifying fluidity of the human animal. Evolution didn't design us to have a soul or a permanent self. It designed us to survive. And in the brutal environment of the ancestral savanna, the ability to mirror the behavior and sounds of others was a high-level survival trait. It was the ultimate camouflage. Pharoah is simply the apex of this evolutionary glitch. He shows us that the boundaries we draw around our identity are as thin as the layer of mucus protecting his vocal cords. You think your voice is yours? It is a series of learned frequencies, a sonic fingerprint you've been refining since you first heard your mother's heartbeat. Pharoah just knows how to reset the factory settings. The slope gets steeper the longer you watch him work. If a man can shed his personality like a snake sheds its skin, then what is the skin made of? It's made of social feedback loops. We are advanced apes that react to stimuli. We laugh when we see Pharoah become Denzel Washington because our brains recognize a familiar pattern being hijacked. It is a neurological short circuit. We find it entertaining, but beneath the laughter, there is a primal shudder. Our ancestors survived by being part of a tribe, and being part of a tribe meant being predictable. Pharoah is the most unpredictable thing in the room because he is everyone and no one at the same time. He is a walking, breathing error code in the system of human recognition. When his eyes glaze over for a fraction of a second before he shifts into Eddie Murphy, you are witnessing a total system reboot. The prefrontal cortex is momentarily suppressing the J program to launch a different set of subroutines. This isn't art. It is high-speed data processing happening inside a skull. It is the physical manifestation of the fact that we are all just meat suits running software we didn't write. The reality of our existence is that we are constantly performing. You change your posture when you walk into a job interview. You change your pitch when you speak to a child. You change your vocabulary when you want to impress a stranger. Pharoah just does it better than you. He has taken the subtle, everyday deceptions of the human species and amplified them until the original person disappears entirely. This is the slippery slope that leads to the total dissolution of the ego. If every part of your personality can be broken down into a series of adjustable sliders, vocal resonance, blinking frequency, hand gestures, linguistic tics, then there is no you at the center of the soundboard. There is only the soundboard itself. We are a collection of habits masquerading as a soul. We are the sum of our sensory inputs, filtered through a brain that is desperate to convince us that we are meaningful. But the biology doesn't care about meaning. The biology only cares about replication and social standing. Pharoah's talent is a hyper-evolved form of social signaling. He captures the alpha signals of others and retransmits them to the group, garnering status and resources in the process. It is a perfect Darwinian loop. The algorithm that governs our digital lives is a lot like the evolutionary pressures that shaped our ancestors. It is a cold, unblinking predator that demands constant tribute in the form of attention and engagement. Right now, that very algorithm holds this channel's future hostage in a dark, silent basement of code. And your decision to subscribe is the only ransom payment that will ensure the machine continues to allow these deep dives into the uncomfortable mechanics of reality. It is a transaction of survival in a digital ecosystem that favors the persistent. This is the reality of the landscape we navigate, a series of hostage negotiations with systems we don't fully understand. The more we study the mechanics of people like Pharoah, the more we realize that the self is a manufactured neurological construct designed to facilitate group cohesion. It is a convenient lie. We need to believe we are solid entities so we can function in a society of other solid entities. But that solidity is a visual illusion, like the spinning blades of a fan that appear to be a solid disk. Pharoah just knows how to slow the fan down until you see the individual blades and the empty space between them. He exposes the void at the center of the human experience. When the lights go down and the cameras stop rolling, the sweat dries and the muscles in his throat relax. The characters vanish. The voices go silent. And in that silence, you are left with the most terrifying factual reality of all. There is no one behind the curtain. There is no pilot in the cockpit. There is only the hum of the engine and the cold, indifferent architecture of the brain.